Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rick's Thoughts. Now, today we're going to continue with saving money. So, this time I'm going to continue with last episode's one where we talked about how if you should be hiring someone or not. Well, I want to go a little bit further into that. And this one is more like bootstrapping. So, I talked about how you wanted to, if you were to hire someone to do certain tasks, or you should do it yourself. Now, I know some people are still divided on that, but what if I could break it down into exactly how much you make? So, say for example, your hourly pay. So, at work right now, let's say, I don't know, if you're making $10 an hour or $20 an hour, even $50 an hour, whatever it is, right? But that's not how you should base your time. I want you to think of how much should your time be worth? Like if you were making $20 an hour, but actually you feel like you should be making $50 an hour, then I want you to try and write that down. You know what? Instead of doing hourly, how about this? How much do you want to make per year? So is it $100,000 a year? Is it $200,000 a year? Or $1 million a year? Now I know some people might be thinking like, "Hey, that's a little ridiculous." But I want to start with just 100,000. So say for example, you wanted to make $100,000 a year, and right now you're not there yet. I want you to write this down because then when you write it down, this will help you. This is something I did. So in the past, I never used to make $100,000 a year, but after going through a lot of seminars, I started writing things down because that's what I was always told. You write it down because once you write it down, for some reason, it's planted in your brain and it helps you try to hit that goal. Okay, so I want you to just write it down, something very simple. And then from there, what I want you to do is you break it down. So if you was to break that down to a whole year, that's approximately 2,000 hours, right? If you was to break it down per hour for a whole year, 2,000 hours, that's because there's 52 weeks in a year. And each week we usually work about 40 hours, right? But then I want you to write it down, and it comes to approximately about $50 an hour. So now with that $50 an hour, what I want you to do is I want you to multiply that by four. Now, why multiply it by four? This is because um, you have to calculate for times that you're not efficient. Okay. So, what do I mean by that? So, there are times that you are doing really good and you can put out and do enough work for, let's just say, an 8 hour period. So $50 at 8 hours, that's what, like 400. So if it's $400 for a whole day, but you're not putting out 8 hours of work, you're not as efficient as you'd want to be, and maybe you're only about 50% efficient today, so then you're only making $200, right? But our goal is to hit 100,000, or at least make that 100,000 in 1 year. So instead of making 200, so now we have to up that $50 an hour to maybe 100. But because I want to be at times four, so that's going to be at $200 an hour. Now you must be looking like, wait, why at $200? I was satisfied with 50. I mean, well, it's good to have 200, but then it's kind of a ridiculous number. But just hold on a moment. So, like I said, sometimes we could be efficient about 50% of the time, maybe even 25% of the time we're efficient, and the other times we have wasted times from watching TV, on the phone, talking to people, and all that. And that's something else that we're going to be talking about in a later video. Yeah, but so let's just say you're efficient 25% of the time. This way, we can make up for all the dips on the times that you do good, and then all the times that you do really bad, where you feel lazy and you don't want to do anything at all. So now we're at $200 per hour. So at $200 per hour, you have to start looking at everything that you do and say, is this worth $200 per hour? So let's go back to my example. In the last video, I talked about mowing the lawn. Excuse me, mowing the lawn. So I would spend anywhere from 6 to 8 hours mowing the lawn. Now, I'm not sure about you if if you spend about the same amount of time or you can do it faster, whatever it is, right? So let's just say on average I do 6 hours. 6 hours at $200 per hour. Now that is, what is that now? That's about $1,200. So now I have to look at that task that I'm doing. Is it truly worth $1,200 of my time, right? Now, and if you start looking at hiring somebody, which I mentioned in the last video, was uh, I pay them about $60 for each time they come out. Now that's a big difference because now that comes out to only about $10 per hour if I break it down the cost of what I'm paying them. Even though it only takes them an hour because there's a crew of three or whatever they fully equipped, it still comes out to about $60 for one time. Now, if you start looking at everything in that perspective, wouldn't you want to try and not be bootstrapping every single thing? I mean, I can understand you want to bootstrap in the beginning, especially if you don't have the money. But this is when we start looking at our skills. We look at other ways that we can make money. I mean, I know you have your job and you make a certain amount and that's it. But then that's when we start looking at, like, is there another way for me to earn more money? So, like, for my example, I'm a plumber. I did construction for many years. So I have that skill that I know how to make things, put things together, like um, replace a toilet or fix a broken shower. I mean, a leaking shower, or even um, fix a door. I did that a few days ago. I removed the door. I had to trim it and fix the lock and all that good stuff, so that that way it doesn't get stuck and it doesn't break. And I made a couple $100, and that's fairly simple, right? And painting is another thing can do. And I mean, that's just examples of things that I've learned over the years. And maybe that's not what your forte is. Maybe you have a different a different set of skills, like writing or cleaning. It's actually something that I'm working on. I'm trying to hire somebody to clean our house because between me and my family, we clean the house. It takes us forever, but instead of us spending that many hours cleaning, looking at maybe hiring somebody that can do that for us, like maybe buff the floor and make it look nice and shiny and clean and all that good stuff. So, something to think about. Instead of bootstrapping and trying to do everything yourself, why not hire somebody? And then at the same time, figure out a way to make more money so that you can afford to pay that person that's cleaning. You just try and come up with a number, whatever number that is, and try to stick with it and then start looking at everything and seeing that, is what you're truly doing worth whatever amount of dollars you are worth per hour. And if it's not, then maybe you should start looking at other ways to make more money, to make an income, to do some kind of side hustle or even another job or whatever it is, and hire someone to do that work for much, much less. So that's what I always look at. Like, is there a way for me to come up with more money than what I'm going to be paying these people to do this task for me? Okay. So something to think about. I want you to go look at it and make sure you have this all written down so that way you can figure out what is the best course of action. So if you should be bootstrapping or if you should be hiring someone. Also, don't forget to check out one of my videos. They should be over here and over here. And remember to always smash that like button, the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that YouTube will notify you the next time I upload another video. Now, I'd like to say mahalo for watching the second episode of Rick's Thoughts. And remember to always strive for financial independence. And until the next time, aloha.